So we're back out today. It's rained the last couple of days, but it's really beautiful today. Yeah, today is July 9th. I think it's Wednesday. You lose track of time a little bit when you're on holiday, even though I have been following things. And one of the things that I've been really looking to talk about are the tariffs and this trade war that's going on between the US and the rest of the world. And I think the rest of the world, that's really important, because the trade problem in the world seems to be mostly between the US and the rest of the world. And even though President Trump says that it's the rest of the world ripping off Americans, I don't think it's that simple, really. And he might even know why, the underlying reason why this has been happening. And it's not only been happening since August 15th, 1971, it was already happening in the 1960s, when, despite the fact that the US was still kind of obeying the conditions of the Bretton Woods agreement, they were, for all intents and purposes, kind of cheating. And what do I mean by cheating? Well, they were borrowing and printing too much currency. Yeah, and they weren't like backing it. The currency wasn't backed well enough for the countries within the Bretton Woods system to redeem extra dollars for gold at $35 an ounce. And that was one of the major reasons why they had to create the London gold pool. And the London gold pool was just a market manipulation mechanism that the United States and its major trading partners like the United Kingdom, France, Japan, West Germany at the time, the Netherlands, and others devised to keep the system going. And how did it work? Well, those countries provided gold liquidity within the London market and Zurich international gold market to keep that price fixed at $35 an ounce. But by 1965, I think the French were getting fed up, because they knew that the United States was cheating. They were printing money that wasn't backed by gold, or printing currency. And President de Gaulle at the time, and I think I've used clips of his speech in 1965, where he basically explains the dollar system back then.
Le fait que beaucoup d'États acceptent par principe des dollars au même titre que de l'or pour les règlements des différences qui existent à leur profit dans la balance des paiements américaine, ce fait entraîne les Américains à s'endetter, et à s'endetter gratuitement vis-à-vis de l'étranger, car ce qu'ils lui doivent, ils le lui payent tout au moins en partie, avec des dollars qu'il ne tient qu'à eux d'émettre, étant donné les conséquences que pourrait avoir une crise qui surviendrait dans un pareil domaine, nous pensons qu'il faut prendre à temps les moyens de l'éviter. Nous estimons nécessaire que les échanges internationaux soient établis, comme c'était le cas avant les grands malheurs du monde, sur une base monétaire indiscutable et qui ne porte la marque d'aucun pays en particulier. Quelle base? En vérité, on ne voit pas qu'il puisse y avoir réellement de critères, d'étalons autres que l'or.
And it's even more pronounced now. And he was basically saying, well, the U.S. has this, they can just indebt themselves for nothing. And that's basically print currency out of thin air and buy whatever they want abroad. And yeah, and that's what's been creating these current account or trade deficits that result into current account deficits. They've been accumulating for over 50 years. And in his speech, President de Gaulle actually says we have to go back to a system that we had prior to all the malheurs du monde, which means all the bad things that happened to the world in the 20th century. And I assume he meant World War I, World War II, because World War I destroyed the gold standard that worked really well prior to 1914. They tried to get back into that standard, into that system in the post-war World War period, but that failed miserably. And then they got this kind of gold exchange system, which Bretton Woods was really all about, because Bretton Woods wasn't a pure gold standard. And why was that? Well, because it was only the dollar that was backed by gold. All the other currencies, yes, they were fixed to the dollar, but they weren't directly backed by gold. So yes, President de Gaulle was already warning about that 60 years ago, 1965. And he was proven right. Of course, the London gold pool basically failed in 1968 because the French got fed up with it. And by 1971, the US was running out of gold because the French, the British, and others, they knew the US was abusing the system, running huge budget deficits domestically and current account deficits or trade deficits as well internationally. So they redeemed their surplus American currency for gold. But it got so bad that there was a crisis. And after consultation with people like John Exter, Paul Volcker, who was the Undersecretary for International Affairs at the US Treasury, they were at Camp David that weekend. They had three options. They could devalue the dollar versus gold so that they would have to pay out less gold to the creditor nations. They could also have raised interest rates to keep foreigners from redeeming their currency, because it would mean they would have more return on their currency. They wouldn't want the gold, but of course politicians don't like higher interest rates. We know all about that. And the other third option was to default. Or as President Nixon said, we're going to suspend the convertibility of the dollar temporarily. Well, it's been temporary since 1971. That was, of course, a euphemism for default. But what that did, that event, was make it even easier for Americans in general, and by Americans I mean the federal government, debtors, creditors. It just opened the floodgates to more inflation, more money printing, and then you had to, of course, find a new system. It wasn't an official system, but it was a de facto backing, let's say, of the dollar with oil. They did the deal with the Saudis, the petrodollar deal, which was very informal, but by getting the Saudis to sell all their oil in dollars, that really captured the oil market for the US dollar. And what that meant was that basically every country around the world, even those countries that exported oil, they had to deal in dollars. And how do you deal in dollars if you can't print dollars? Well, you have to try to earn the dollars. So basically, in the last 55 years or so, or 53 years, countries around the world, especially the developing nations, they've been trying to desperately earn dollars by competing with American industry, American businesses, in order to earn dollars. So America, on the other hand, I'm going to give you an analogy. For example, let's say that I got like a monopoly from the Swiss National Bank. Of course, I'm on holiday here in Switzerland right now, but if the Swiss National Bank came to me and said, Mario, this is just for you, we're going to allow you to create Swiss francs out of thin air for the next, well, into perpetuity. And, well, that would mean that I wouldn't have to worry about working, producing anything. I wouldn't have to worry about getting up in the morning. I'd just be able to buy things from anyone I want for nothing. And that's what's been happening. Let's say I would be a microcosm of what's happened to the United States over the last 54 years or so. And so when President Trump says that the whole world is ripping America off, I think it's the opposite. America has been ripping off the whole world. And I'm not having a go at Americans. I would do the same thing if I had that exorbitant privilege. And that's what Charles de Gaulle's finance minister at the time, Valéry Giscard d'Estaing, who also became the president of France eventually, that's what he called this reserve currency privilege. And it was a privilege that America earned because of all the gold they earned during World War I and World War II. Yes, it didn't come like for nothing, of course, but that's what has created these deficits. And just like I was giving the analogy of me not having to work, can you imagine? I would be, and then you can expand that to your family. So your family would be living really well and doing nothing, like spoiled brats. So that, and eventually when the money runs out or the money becomes worthless, when people realize that this guy is a scammer, then we're in trouble, right? We have to change the way we behave. But after kind of 60 years of doing that, it becomes really tough. So what I'm trying to say here, that is the reason why America has this problem, this current account deficit, trade deficit problem. And to think that just raising tariffs is going to solve that problem, I think is very short-sighted and naive. What will solve that problem, this problem? And it's going to take a long time to readjust. Just as I said in my example, it would take a long time for my family to readjust if they became spoiled brats who could have anything. Well, the only way to do it is to go back to fiscal rectitude, sound money. But the fiscal rectitude side, we're not seeing that, are we? We are seeing this big, beautiful bill, and I've spoken many times about it, that you can't grow yourself out of a debt crisis or debt by issuing more debt. The only way to grow out of it is to tighten your belt, spend less, live within your means, and save. But that doesn't seem to me to be the objective of Congress, nor the current administration, or all the other administrations. So nothing's changed. So that's why I think it's going to fail, this tariff policy. It's going to fail because that's basically where the underlying problem lies. And a country like the UK, where I live, they have the same problem, even though the UK doesn't have the reserve currency. The UK is got a close relationship with the US, and it's kind of been swimming along with a big whale and gotten some of the benefits of it. So the UK as well, we are highly financialized economy, a lot of debt, an economy based on real estate debt, consumer credit, heavy borrowing, welfare, and we have a huge current account and trade deficits that we've been running with other countries as well. And we need to do the same thing that I've been talking about that the US needs to do. So there you go. That's what it's about. Until we see that happen, until we see that happen, nothing will change. Industry will not come back to the United States because industry needs investment. And the only way to invest is for a country to have a savings pool. But when a country is running deficits, it's crowding out the private sector. How are you going to invest? And you've also had 50 years of hollowing out the industrial sector, because as I said earlier, a lot of the emerging market countries and other countries, they needed to earn their dollars, so they outcompeted the US. They also have lower input costs like wages and less regulation. So it's going to be it's not going to be solved in 6 months, a year, or even a decade, I think. But that's why I'm not too optimistic about things in terms of solving this trade problem. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day, and I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.